All right, we're back still with Learning Guide 5. Now we're on part 2. Now we're going to look at example 1 here, where we have to sketch graphs of quadratic functions in vertex form. All right, and then we have to be able to also determine different features of these functions. So first of all, let's just go through some of these examples here. So let's start with this function right here. All right. So we're given that function. Now it's going to ask us what the vertex is. All right. And remember, the vertex form is y equals a bracket x minus p squared plus q. And that's on your formula sheet. And your vertex are these two features. The p and the q is your vertex. Okay? And just remember, this one is going to be opposite. It's in a bracket. So if we had to tell what is the vertex of this function, well, there's a positive one, there's the p, minus 1 is the opposite, comma, and the q is minus 3. So that's the vertex. All right? So just remember, it's always the opposite. So if I gave you another example, let's just throw another one up here. And I said to you, what is the vertex? Now this one trips people up a little bit because they think it's 3, 4. But the p, there is no p. And the reason is because there's no bracket. So this would be 0, 4. Okay, so watch out. If there's no bracket, there's no p. So p, or there is a p, but it's a 0. Okay, second thing it's asking us is the domain and the range. Okay, this is a struggle. People, if they have difficulties at the beginning, it's with domain and range. Well, domain is quite easy. For all parabolas, the domain is XER. And that's the notation we use all the time, which means all numbers. Because a parabola, if I look at it, okay, and look at the features of it, it is opening up and going forever that way and forever that way. So it's covering every number. Now the range, you have to do some thinking. So the shortcut is, I'll just erase this. Oh. The range is going to be R colon Y. Just remember, domain is the X numbers and range are the Y's. Now you have to look if it's going up or it's going down. Remember we just talked about that, the A. So in our question here, the A is 2 and it's positive 2. So that means it's opening up. So opening up means greater and equal to. So that's the first thing you want to always look at. Look at the A. If it's negative, so if I had an example like this, y equals negative 2x squared, that's opening down. So that would be y less than and equal to. Okay, so we have to look for the q now. Well, the q is always going to be the second number. In this case, negative 3. So we're going to put negative 3 into there. And that is the domain and the range. Now direction opening, we sort of just did that prior to this. It's opening up. And the equation of the axis symmetry, we did that last time. It's always x equals p. And remember, I sort of get into a habit. This is the p, this is the q. the Q always comes into the range, and the P always comes into the axis of symmetry. So x equals -1 is the answer. All right. Now, let's look at an example down below. It says, sketch using transformations. When I look at sketching these functions, the best thing I would do, and it's going to help you in pre-calculus 12, is by mapping. Okay? So, when I'm marking, and most teachers are marking, the first thing we want to make sure you have is you want to have your vertex right on spot. So definitely have that. So I know the vertex, we just did at the bottom, or up top there, it's -1, and it's 1, 2, 3. So we know it's right there, okay? So that's a good reference point. Now, when we do mapping, I'm not going to go through this method. I find it confusing. And when you get to grade 12, knowing how to do it through mapping makes it so much easier. So this is what we're going to do. So it's called mapping. So let's write the equation down so I can see it down below here. So we got y equals 2 bracket x plus 1 squared minus 3. Okay, the first thing we do is we want to set up a little grid here. And remember, this is the basic function, y equals x squared. So those are critical points, and I sort of have those listed here. So we have 0, 0, 1, 1, -1, 1, 2, 4, -2, 4. So you're going to get really familiar with those guys, because that's the basic guy. Now, we are going to map with our transformation going on here. So what's going on here? So let's have a look. Okay, so with the x, right here's the x, we are subtracting 1. Remember, it's the opposite, so we're going left 1. These guys are outside the brackets, so they affect the y. So it's 2y, because this is timesing the y, and subtracting 3. All right, so once you got the mapping, so that's the mapping right there, those two new things, we can plug and chug now. So I'm going to take this 0, put it into that x, so I get -1. Put that 1 in there, I get 0. Put -1 in there, I get -2. Put 2 in there, I get 1. Put -2 in there, I get -3. Now I'm going to take these guys, put that 0 into that y, because it's your y, and that's 0, so it's -3. Take this 1, put it in there, so 1 times 2 is 2, subtract that is -1. Take this one, well, it's the same thing. Put 4 in there, well, 4 times 2 is 8. 8 subtract 3 is 5, and 5. Okay, so now I have my new coordinates. So this one right here, so -1, -3. So that's, we knew, because that was the original one, and this is the transformation one. Okay, 0, that means goes nowhere, and down 1. And then we have -2, and then we have -1. And then we have 1 over 5 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have -3 over up 5. And there is our sketch. Okay, so I would definitely recommend doing any sketches through the I call mapping stage. Okay. All right, so you can try this question and then you can pause and then you can come back and see how you did. So I want you to try these ones. So I'll do the answers and you can check. Okay, and those are the answers.